You have been a veteran of the African Nations Cup. You've come to cover a lot of the competition. Can you give me a note of some of the players that have really impressed you when it comes to coming to cover the African Nations Cup since 2002 in Mali?
Well, a good friend of mine was Rigobert Song. He was the big chief of Cameroon team, and I know him very well. He's a very good guy, and he has learned a lot of experiences in Europe, because as you know, he started playing in France. Afterwards he plays in England with Liverpool. He has gone to Italy. He was in Turkey, and he came to Germany, to Cologne. And Rigobert was a big chief in Cameroon team, and Rigobert Song was a big chief in African soccer.
Beside Rigobert Song, are there other players that stays in your memory for a very long time? Beside Rigobert Song of Cameroon, the former captain of Cameroon, are there other players from Africa during the Nations Cup that you covered that stays in your memory?
Yeah, of course. I've seen a lot of players like Eto'O, the Nigerian players, very good players like JJ Okocha, who played very well in Germany with the Frankfurt. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a good striker who was playing with Arsenal, and I've seen a lot of players in all these years, and I know that African soccer is very, very talented.
Okay, so every time I speak to a journalist from Europe, or whether we're in the forum or having a conversation, there's always this talk about African football having plenty of talent. And there's no doubt, there's no argument about it. But what do you think is responsible for African football not being able to rise up to the level of European football to compete properly? There are 54 nations in Europe, 54 nations in Africa, but then we present only 5 countries for the World Cup. Europe is presenting 13. I mean, it's strange. I don't know how they come about the sharing formula, but that's strange. What can Africa do to step up to the plate?
Well, I think, in my point of view, it's a question of organization. It's a question for the federations. They must work for the soccer. They must work for the players, and they have to be sure to be better the next few years. So they have to be constantly with their players and their teams. I think they are changing too much the coaches, and they are not stable in their development. That's the biggest problem they have.
All right, you've been to the Nations Cup since 2002. Would you describe the African Nations Cup as a little tournament?
No, it's for sure it's a big tournament with all these teams. Especially I watched the team of Cameroon because at the beginning of the time there was a German coach with Cameroon. His name was Winnie Schäfer, and I knew all the players of the team. I even stayed in hotels with them, and I know that they are good players and good guys, and I've seen it with Ghana, for example, with my friend Anthony Basso. They have good teams, very talented players, but there's a lack of stability in the teams. But I saw that it's very difficult for the teams because of the long distance the players have to go to play at home for their teams. And I think it's very difficult to be stable in such situations.
Right, we're about a month away from the start of the African Nations Cup in Cameroon. And as we speak, there are rumors already that some of the European clubs are lobbying the European government to pronounce this lockdown against the Omicron virus, which is the third strain of the coronavirus, and that would automatically stop most of the African players that are playing in Europe from coming to the African Nations Cup. As a journalist that loves the African football and also love the game, the Nations Cup itself, the African Nations Cup, what would you say about this intending decision, this impending decision, this thing that might happen, where the European coaches, the European clubs will say we're not going to release our players, just like they did during the World Cup qualifiers, when they say red listed countries like Cape Verde, they didn't allow their players to go play there. What do you say to that?
Well, I know the problem since years. For every tournament, the clubs try to keep the African players in Europe. That's not a new problem. Now we have another situation with the virus, but for me it's normal that European clubs would release their players to African Cup of Nations. It's normal. They are forced to let them go because it's the biggest tournament in Africa. And then when we have the European Championship, every national team is proud to have their best players for the tournament, and German clubs and coaches must accept that African Cup of Nations is the biggest tournament in Africa. They must accept that the players will go and they have to go to the tournament.
Thank you very much for that.